Now we are in a cellar under a theatre in Bristol on the west coast of the United Kingdom, and even as we began, a ghostly tread could be heard overhead, couldn't it?
Footsteps ahead, above. I've seen two mice.
Two mice. This is like,
here.
we're broadcasting from an Edgar Allan Poe story. Mr. G, poet of the show, is present. Hello, G.
How you doing? You all right?
Yes, pretty good. Now, we're in Bristol, so I think we should immediately commence with a conversation with perhaps Bristol's most famous resident who's not been caught up in the slave trade. It's Steve Merchant. Is Steve Merchant there? Hello, Steve.
Hello.
All right, Steve, thank you for agreeing.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. When we were trying to book you for this through the professional route, before I text you, your agent said he might be out drinking. That was the...
Well, I am obviously about to head out drinking. You are interrupting me. I mean, you know, now that you're out of the market, the ladies of London need to be pleasured. There's only one man for the job.
Right, so you nowadays that you uncluttered and unimpeded by me, you're pretty much a kind of London Lothario, are you?
There's a lot of women just wandering the streets, as you can imagine, sort of blank face, zombie-like, you know, calling out your name. And, you know, I swoop in a pair of tight trousers and they're happy to make do.
I would consider that a progression, if anything.
How come you're back on the radio? I thought you were banned for life. They didn't ever know about this. Is there a website I can complain to?
There is. The Daily Mail do have a website, and I think they would probably welcome your complaints. What it is this is for Talksport in the UK. So we've been given very much, it's sort of a second chance, Steve.
Sure. Now listen,
Yes.
What's the story? Why was I not invited to your stag do?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about
I mean,
that.
oh yeah.
Well, I weren't in charge of the invites, or really. I'm not in charge of the stag do. Yeah, I'd love to have had you there. You'd have really lifted the mood. You've got a lovely personality. I'm sorry, Steve.
All I'm saying is I feel ashamed and humiliated.
I'm very sorry to have put you in that ever-growing bracket of people that I've hurt. I'm very sorry, but I don't know... I don't think you'd have enjoyed it, Steve. First of all, we went to a football match. Would you have enjoyed that? West Ham versus Spurs. Would you have enjoyed that particularly?
No.
And then we went for a meal in a restaurant, but there was a bizarre period where we were held in a cheese shop, which sort of a cheese shop stroke deli that was upstairs at the restaurant we were at. So there was a long, like sort of a half-hour period where we were just men in a cheese shop. I don't know if you'd have enjoyed that particularly. Are you a fan of cheese?
I am a huge fan of cheese and cheese shops, but you know, it's not in the end. It's not really about that. It's not for you to decide whether I'd enjoy it, is it? It's for you to ask and for me to decide.
Okay, yes, I realise.
Well, I remember I first started working with Ricky, and we literally been working for about a month. And he walked in. We were round his house, and we were working for a while. He disappeared. He came back with one cup of tea for himself, and he started drinking it. I went, "Well, you didn't ask me if I wanted tea," and he said, "Well, I presumed you wouldn't want one," which is. Okay, fine, yeah, well, you presumed wrong. So all I'm saying is,
Did you actually want a cup of tea in that instance?
Yes, of course I did. I always love a cup of tea. Always after a cup of tea.
It settles you down as well as the drink itself. It's relaxing, it's convivial, it's hospitable to give someone a tea.
Yeah, but listen, I forgive you. You know, you're a busy man. You've got a lot of people in your phone book, a lot more important people, a lot probably bigger names. You've got a lot of A-listers in there. I can imagine being kind of low on that list.
Well, I mean, alphabetically and perhaps in terms of listing, yes, that might be true. But in terms of conviviality and warm-heartedness, you're very high up. And what concerns me now is you obviously bear an incredible grudge as this cup of tea incident, which, you know, you've been friends with Ricky, 10, 15 years, and...
You're still bringing it up?
Still bringing it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a lot... I do hold a grudge. I didn't think I did, but now that you've said it, there's a lot of people that I hate.
You're harbouring a lot of hatred. I've got nothing but warmth for you ever since we've had some lovely incidents. We went scarf shopping together. That was
brilliant. That was like a mandate, wasn't it? I ran into you in the street. You were talking to a homeless man, of course you were. And and I said I needed a scarf, and you spent the afternoon with me, and I ended up back at your house having a lovely cup of tea. It was very much like a mandate. Presumably, normally, if I'd been a woman, it would have ended. I wouldn't have left till the following morning. But that time I left that afternoon, and it was charming. I thought we enjoyed ourselves enormously.
It was lovely, and I like to think that sometimes you wear those scarves that we purchased and think of me. Am I right to muse in that manner?
I often think of you when I see them, but I never wear them. They were terrible scarves, and I don't know what you were thinking.
Yeah, one was red and a bit over the top. The other one,
It's far too dandyish for me.
Yeah, I was trying to impose my taste upon you. I apologise for that, Steve. Steve, I watched you in the film The Tooth Fairy, as I'm sure you pronounce it, and I enjoyed watching you very much in that. It was nice to see you in a big Hollywood film opposite The Rock. I wondered if you've got amusing anecdotes that would make sense to our listeners, or if you sort of think, given the nature of this phone call, you can't be bothered to get into it.
Almost nothing amusing happened. I was there for like 2 months filming in Vancouver, and actually, I look back on it. It was quite a depressing time for me because in the movie I play a fairy who only The Rock can see, which meant I was only really ever in scenes with him, and because he was filming all the time, it meant I never really met anyone else. So I just was like a lonely, lost figure who just spent 2 months in Vancouver sort of wandering the streets, occupying my time, swimming in the large empty hotel pool. It was like Lost in Translation. It was a really melancholy time. So actually you brought that back for me, and
I'm sorry that the
this is turning into a really depressing thing.
I didn't think that the light-hearted children's film, The Tooth Fairy, would conjure up such painful memories. But I suppose your only emotional support was a man called The Rock. So
right, exactly. You know, and it's curious because you'd presume that he'd have been, you know, a form of he presumably would have been a rock for me.
Right.
But he was a busy guy, you know, a lovely man. Don't get me wrong, charming, absolute joy.
Absolutely.
But he did take us to a nightclub once. We went up the back stairs. That's not euphemism. We literally went up the back stairs. And he had the sort of VIP treatment, and it's quite nice because I imagine that's what your life is like all the time now in Hollywood. But still quite a novelty for me. The limousine that drives you like 500 yards from the hotel. You go up through the kitchens into a VIP area. Oh, it's glorious.
And of course, the last bit of content that I can wring from you is the visit that you made to my Hollywood home that I share with Katie. Well, you made some interesting. I've watched the footage of that day. You made some interesting, sweeping, and dare I say it, hurtful judgments. I wonder if you can recall any of those.
I don't remember any of them. I remember thinking that I saw your vast walk-in wardrobe and was disgusted by the transparent, conspicuous wealth on display. I remember thinking that you have embraced seemingly a number of kind of mumbo-jumbo, new agey beliefs. And you seem to be sort of setting yourself up as a sort of modern-day Charles Manson. You've got this kind of creepy guru quality about you. Those are the things that spring to mind. Is there anything you had in mind?
Mostly those hurtful comments, and then I was just going to add when you said there was a golden lamp that was the shape of an M16 machine gun, and you said, it's a testimony to how far you've come that such a gaudy and disgusting object it looks comfortable in your home.
It did remind me of that. You remember when Michael Jackson on that Martin Bashir documentary went shopping for tat in Las Vegas?
Yes. I do remember.
It did remind me of that, yeah.
I think there are other elements to that documentary that I'm glad were not evoked by your visit to my home. Thank God we didn't explore every room. Keep away from the nursery, Steve! What's all that screaming? Oh, don't worry about that.
You haven't got children yet, have you?
No, go and look at that lamp. There's a solid gold lamp.